Hello everyone. My project title is Opportunities and Challenges. Mon College Prep Academy, HCPA, is an individual school district where the elementary school, middle school, and high school are considered a whole unit. HCPA's mission is to provide the best integrated, challenging, and well-rounded educational experience to students in grades K-12. HCPA first began operations in 2003. HCPA has received funding from both state and federal and other resources to support students' learning. The student enrollment excitingly grew from about 200 students in 2004 to 2,310 students in 2020. HCPA starts developing the annual budget in spring. After the superintendent completes a draft of the budget, it will be brought to school board to be reviewed and approved. The final annual budget normally will be generated with the approval of the school board by June. HCPA uses a 5-year long-range budget project model. Each fiscal year gets a new budget. Once this annual budget is approved, the superintendent will share it with the principals of each school, who can have a certain amount of authority on how to allocate the budget on the teaching materials through the school year. Dr. Han prepares the district's revenue calculations and expenditures allocations. The whole amount of the revenue is divided into the 4 parts based on their origin and usage: generation, educational revenue, compensatory revenue, federal revenue, and the other revenue in HCPA. Most of the school's revenue is used to fund staff, salary, benefits, transportations, and rent of the school building. For the 2020 to 2021 school year, the total revenue was over $32,859,000 received from state, federal, and other revenues. The total received general education revenue was over $70,952,000. The total received compensatory revenue was over $4,443,000. The total received federal revenue was over $2,670,000, and the other received revenue was over $320,000. Specifically, the total received revenue for special ed was over $2,370,000. The total received revenue for EL aid was over $608,000. The total received building lease aid was over $3,327,000. The total expenditures was $36,200,000. As we can see that the expenditures were bigger than the revenues. How do the school leaders manage it? Normally, HCPA doesn't develop budget reductions at the school district level and building levels. It's all based on the needs of the students. If there will be some changes of school staff's position, a principal can submit a request first. Once the request is approved by the superintendent, the principal will have the authority to make some changes that will be aligned with the bottom line of the available budget. Under the leadership of the superintendent, the business department of HCPA is in charge of the allocating and monitoring monthly expenditure. There is a programmatic operation flow for the staff to get teaching materials through the school year. HCPA set the policy to reserve fund balance. Most schools in the state reserve 10% of the fund balance, but HCPA does 20% of it as much as it can. Each part in the HCPA is encouraged to reserve the remaining budget for the next school year. The school district will set aside money for a contingency fund as a whole district. From the document provided by Dr. Han, it can be seen that there was over $14,719,000 as a general fund ending fund balance, and over $605,000 as a food service fund ending fund balance. Another major expenditure is for the staff's salaries and benefits. The superintendent, Dr. Han, works with the school board and the administration team on the school's staffing project. Driven by the enrollment and based on the students' needs and abilities, like special education, English language learners, and a Title I service, mainly referring, reading, and regular instructional staff for different content areas. The superintendent will need to calculate the approximate amount for the human capital based on the number of staff who will provide the needs for all students. From the document shared by Dr. Han, over $10,315,000 was used for staff's salaries, and over $2,276,000 was used for staff's benefits. The fee for building rent in total was over $4,252,000 in the 2019 to 2020 school year, as another very big expenditure, which included many types of expenditures like net debt service per combined schedule, capital improvement fund, ongoing expenses, net debt services, and capital improvement fund, and HCPA is currently not being considered as a future levy referendum because it's a charter school, and therefore is not eligible like other local public schools. For the 2020-2021 school year, HCPA received $161.84 per pupil unit as a referendum, compared with the $424 per APU in local public schools. Therefore, Dr. Han expressed the desire that the legislature would allow charter schools to have the same and equal right as public schools to levy referendums in future. Although HCPA receives their funding from both state and federal, which is not enough to meet all students' needs, HCPA will need to move some funds from other categories that have some remaining funding for the EAL program. HCPA has encountered financial challenges here and there, but the following information cited from 2014 to 15 school year report can better provide how distinguished the students' academic performance was. So HCPA High School is currently designated as a celebration eligible level school because of the 2012 multiple measures rating scores of 58.82 out of 100 possible points. This is the second year in a row that in the 9 to 12 HCP high school has earned the celebration school status. This signifies that high school is among the top of 25% Title I schools in Minnesota. In brief, this also means that our administrative has met all MDE requirements for successful applications for additional funds that explain quantitative how will improve case scores and qualitative data reflecting our outcomes factors that make our school successful. These schools are publicly recognized for their success each year. There are more details that can be found in the 2019 to 2020 annual report on students' achievement listed. HSB has maintained strong graduation rates. 2018 to 19 was 96%. 2017 to 18 was 97%. 2016 to 17 was 87%. 2015 to 16 was 85%. 2014 to 15 was 83%. And 87% were accepted to a college or university. Students were awarded over $5 million in scholarships and grants over 4 years from the schools to which they were accepted. Since April 2020, HCPA conducted distance learning due to COVID-19. Through the whole school year of 2020 to 2021, all students from K-12 continued participating in distance learning due to COVID-19. Although some students from K-12 who struggled with distance learning were encouraged to go back to campus 12 a week from April 2021 until June 9, 2021, with their parents' approval. It was a very challenging school year for everybody. About 1/3 of the students K-12 chose to take MCA testing this year. Many teachers had expressed their concerns due to the students' poor attendance and passive performance because of the model of distance learning. It's harder for teachers to ensure that an efficient teaching can be delivered to EL and special ed students, so that a series of data related to their daily performance could be hardly generated. This data would be viewed as a type of valid reference to received funding for public schools. As every educator knows, the last thing states should be doing is decreasing the school funding. More equitable and adequate allocation of financial inputs to schooling provides a necessary underlying condition for improving the equity and adequacy of outcomes.